Hello, thank you for watching. This is Poet Spice, Jamie Little Tallulah, and I am here to do a tutorial showing you how to use this Tonic Mermaid collection. So here I'm using the luxury cardstock from Crafter's Companion. You can see the dies from the Tonic collection, and I love this collection. As soon as I saw it, it was in the basket. I just love it. So awesome. And I love the size. Now, here I went ahead and cut out all the pieces in various sizes and colors, browns, blues, creams. I thought I would save you the looking at me actually cut all this. Okay. And so we're going to make an easel card with all these pieces. I just love that. Okay, I've cut out 6 circles to make the base. And we're going to line them up to see how far and how spread apart we need to make them. If you notice the die cut, it has a point at the end, so we had to extend the card base so that it would actually stand out. So here I've done the measuring, and now I'm putting the 2 circles together. I'm using a pencil to mark around the edges so that we can get it placed properly. I'm using art glitter glue here to glue down the pieces to create the base and the top. And then I'll end up doing the same thing for the upper layer. Now, the one thing about art glitter glue is you do have to make sure that you close it up because it tends to dry quickly. So here you can see I am also working on the other layer, lining it up so that the top and the bottom will fit, and going through the process of gluing it down again. Okay, now, in order to make an easel card, you have to have a place where it will connect to the other piece. So I'm doing that at about 3/4 of an inch. Then you also need to find an area that is approximately halfway of your card. So I'm going through here to try to figure out where I want the halfway point to be. And this is the piece that will bend back, as you can see there. And you'll glue the part to make the easel stand up. Now you want to make sure you burnish that, particularly since there are 2 layers of cardstock. And then you can see where I'm fitting the 2 pieces together. Now I tend to use wet glue and tape. That gives you the extra sticking power of the tape, and then the glue over top will give you a better adhesion later on, but it also gives you that wiggle room. And here you can see I'm trying to match it up. So without the glue, the wiggle room becomes non-existent. All right, here I'm checking out the placement of the circle. And then I decide that I want an extra piece behind it. So I cut an additional circle, line it up, and this time only put glue on half, the bottom half of your easel. Now it's important to note, or not important, but it's just a good thing to note, that you can make an easel card out of almost any shape. So you do not have to buy a specific die to create an easel card. Okay, so now I'm rearranging and trying to replace this blue piece to make sure it's where I want it to be. And I will say this luxury cardstock from Crafter's Companion is fabulous. The weight of it is awesome. I do love UK paper. Their paper is so much thicker than ours here in the United States. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and place that on. And now I have the basics of a functioning easel card. On the inside, I'm going to go ahead and work on putting the mat on the inside. And I'm not worried about the various levels because some of it you won't see. And it also gives it a different kind of flair to the card. Now I'm trying to decide what am I going to put on the inside. Once again, our glitter glue drying. Now, there was a piece that did not record. So you see a big jump here. But now I'm placing that cream color on the inside over the blue piece. And I wanted some of that blue to show through at various levels. Anyone who's been on my channel knows that blue is my favorite color, blue and purple. So now I'm just trying to get that in there and put all the layers down. You kind of want to burnish your pieces, particularly since this card is going to have several layers. All right, now I'm trying to decide what I want to do with this brown, if I want to add it. And then I do decide that what I'm going to do is add it, but I'm going to offset it a little bit. So not only do you see the brown, you also see the cream on the edge of the layer below it. Now, I'm putting glue on this pieces here. You could go ahead and run this through something like a Xyron, or if you have sticky paper, but I just went ahead and glued it. I love that. It's so fabulous. All right, here now we're going to decide what to do with the medallion of the mermaid. This is a tip for any person who does die cutting. You definitely need to have one of these tool-in-ones. I love it because you have the brush that you can use on the other side and the pointy end, on the other side. Here I'm just trying to decide if I want to paper piece pieces back in, which one I want in the center, and so forth. Clearly I decide I don't want that. Then I go ahead and go with the blue mermaid cutout. I really like these colors together. Definitely when you're playing with your dyes and your papers, go for different color combinations. See what else you can come up with. Like for this, for example, this would be very pretty in black with blue and purple accents. It would be pretty with some purple and blue, with maybe like cream colors for your seashells and so forth. So just go with various things and try it out. Here I'm going back to the inside trying to see what I want to do with that. Instead, I go ahead and take the sentiment, glue it down, then ultimately I decide I don't want the sentiment on the inside. I prefer it on the outside edge. Gotta have your foam squares. Now I pulled out the Tim Holtz Distress ink and I'm using Vintage Photo. I think people would have a heart attack if Tim Holtz ever decided to discontinue Vintage Photo. Now you can do what you would want. You can go around the edges, which I'm going to do over all of the edges to get that kind of grungy dark theme going. I also like it because it has that sand look, which is why I went with craft paper to begin with. You can also do things like take your Spectrum Noirs or your Copic markers or your Tonic Nouveau markers, and if you didn't want to grunge but you just wanted an edge, you could go ahead and take your marker and just go around the edge of it and give it that kind of look. You could do watercolor edges. You could do some gilding wax edges if you wanted to do that around the, just to give it some other kind of look to it. I just like this grungy look because it's got that seashell, sand kind of thing going on. Another thing that would have been cool that I did not do on this card would be to take some glitter glue in a darker color, or even, actually it wouldn't really matter what kind of color you used as long as it kind of matched your project, but a gold, a clear, maybe a yellow, put it on various areas and then kind of let it dry, and then once it dried, go back over it with like a Posca pen in brown or black. That would be cool too, to give it another texture. You could use texture paste, I guess, around the edges. Now I'm deciding on the sentiment. And I decided it needs to be extra high, so I add a second layer of foam tape, which gives it that extra dimension. Also, when you add foam tape or anything like that, it gives it a shadow layer, so it's actually adding more depth to your project. You'll notice in the video I tend to turn my pieces over, so that kind of straightens out the layers. It also adds weight to the adhesion of the glue. Now we really have to decide on our stopper for an easel card, and I did not like what I put on there to begin with, so I decided I would go ahead and cut out these shell pieces and do some additional work until I decided what I wanted to do as the stopper. These are the corner pieces that are in one of the die sets, and I'm just gluing those on. Now at the bottom, I decided I was going to take that shell piece, cut it out of the blue, and then cut multiple layers of the craft card underneath it, and then use that as the stopper. And there it goes. Now I looked at it and I did not like that back piece where the other piece is showing, so I decided to take another circle, and I'm going to cover that area up so you don't have that little line showing. I just didn't like the way it looked. I liked it in other sections of card, but not that one. So I'm doing the same thing, figuring out what I need to cut, what I need to trim. Another tip, you definitely need those Tim Holtz scissors. They come in 3 different sizes and they are fabulous. Here I'm just going, fixing the glue, going down and gluing that piece to cover the mess in the back that I did not like. And that just looked so much better. So there's the card. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Definitely come back and watch again, and I'll be seeing you next Tuesday. If you have a request, leave a comment below.